Hi, it's Derek and we're back at Hitchcocks where we're excited to announce the arrival of our 650 shotgun which has just landed, and we thought we'd share with you a few of the subtle differences with this bike and the Super Meteor. This bike is the result of the SG650 design concept which first showcased in 2021 from Royal Enfield, and was the result of a collaboration of ideas with worldwide custom builders and of course the design expertise of the Bruntingthorpe Research and Development Centre here in the UK. The transition of course has been from the urban cruiser to the street custom cruiser, and what we finished up with is this more aggressive look and line of the bike, which lends itself, because of its customizing capability, to be changed by the owner if they so wish, and we'll take you through a few of those key points on it as we walk through it. Both of these bikes benefit from the 650 parallel twin, an engine that we've seen before in the Interceptor and of course the Continental GT. It's tried and tested, it's got great reliability and is very complementary to this new style and design of bike. Both the bikes are, as we know, competitively priced in the market, and the build quality on these now is superb. So, you know, a couple of real winners here. The bike that we chose, they come in a variety of colours, there's 4 different colours, but the one that we chose was this plasma blue with the yellow detail, which I think looks superb. So one of the first points I picked up on with this, it comes with the LED lights, which are both stylish and functional obviously, but a real plus for me is it comes with the centre stand. So any jobs that you want to do at home, that makes life so much more easy to work with. So I'm really pleased that that's a standard item on this. Moving forward, the switchgear, very similar to the Super Meteor. You've got the analog and digital clock with the Google Tripper, and also you've got the rounded dials. Everything's where it should be to hand. It's out of a milled block of aluminium. On this bike it's in the black colour, on this bike it's obviously in the aluminium itself, but really nice layout, which leads me into the nacelle. The front nacelle, where the headlight binnacle is really nice. I consider it looks a little like a black enamel finish on it. It's a shiny finish, it's really robust, but it also just pulls everything together at the front. You've got the top and bottom yokes there with the integrated brackets, which all seem to flow down to the shower inverted forks. The upside down forks are a first for Royal Enfield. These are the first 2 bikes that they've used those on, but they're really efficient, they work really well with the bike. So really pleased to see all that coming together there. The general look of the bike is quite black anyway, which is a little different to this one where there are a lot of aluminium details, but I think that all adds to that aggressive look with this machine. So let's take a look in a bit more detail at those differences. The first part, as I said, is there's a lot of black finish on this bike. In terms of the exhaust and the silencer to the rear, it's got this black crackle finish on it, which is mirrored again with the framework, and that's complemented by, as I said, this bright enamel type black finish, which you can see there on the springs. It's on the engine case, slight difference there. It's got a different badge on it to the Super Meteor, which has the round Royal Enfield. You've got the treatments to the cylinder head there, again this shiny finish on the top. There's a semi-shine on there, and it carries all the way through to the upside down forks on the front and the nacelle, and obviously the top and bottom yokes on there. So I think it's got a very sweeping look to it in terms of the black and the crackled finish as well. They're very complementary with this colour too. So very different look that we've been used to. And there's just other detail. When you look at the bike, you just pick up, it's got the Royal Enfield name obviously imprinted into the grips, but right in the middle, the handlebar clamp has got the Royal Enfield on it with the 4 bolts to hold it. It all just looks quality and really hangs together well. One of the things I have noticed about this bike is the use of the metal side panels. The mud guards front and rear are also metal, and the nacelle at the front. So you've got this robust material, but when I said about customization before as well, the fact you've got metal mud guards for those custom builders that really want to go for it, you've got, you know, a good starting point with a metal mud guard there. That leads me nicely to the seat. I love this seat configuration. You've got a pillion pad on the back which is released via the key, so you can remove the floating pillion pad, and that reveals a rear luggage rack which is integrated into the bike. That can also be removed by the removal of just 4 bolts, and then that gives you a floating solo seat. So what you've actually got here are 3 very different options to the bike. You've got a dual seated bike, you've got the removal of the floating pillion pad to give you a luggage carrier, or if you want that really open look about it, you can remove the carrier and you've got your floating solo seat. Great idea, looks fabulous on the bike. Perhaps an easy change to spot is the positioning of the foot pegs and the controls. On this bike, they're mounted centrally, so when you sit on the bike, you're sat in a fairly comfortable position, but the leg naturally is centre of the bike. It's a nice position when you're riding, but let's take a look at it on the Super Meteor. If I come across to the Super Meteor and sit on this, I've got a lower seat, and I've also got a position that seats me much further forward. So 2 very different riding styles, but both bikes give really good feedback to the rider. So whether your preference is for the pegs in the middle or at the front, both of these bikes tick that. So one of the guys said to me in the office about if you were unsure what bike to have, if you were looking at the Interceptor or the Super Meteor and you couldn't make your mind up, that bike, the 650 shotgun, sits right in the middle, and that might be the bike for you. So we've looked at some of the subtle differences between the bikes. What about the numbers? I think the first thing to say is if you look at the seat height on this particular bike, it's slightly higher. It's at 795 millimeters. This bike, the Super Meteor, is at 740. So that is lower than this bike, but it's still under the magical 800 millimeters that puts a lot of people off buying a bike, you know, that's too tall for them. So 795 for this, we've got 740 for this one. When we look at the wheels, there's another change there. On this bike, the wheels are 18-inch front, 17-inch rear, and on the Super Meteor, we've got a 19-inch front and a 16-inch rear. The wheelbase is also shorter on this bike. It's 1465 millimeters, whereas the Super Meteor is 1500. So we've had a slight compression of the bike in there. The geometry is slightly different, but it doesn't affect the way that the bike handles on the road. The fuel tanks are different too. This is a 13.8 litre fuel tank, and that is a 15.7 litre fuel tank. What's the difference? On this bike, it's slightly slimmer. So now you've got a slightly shorter bike and you've also got a slimmer bike. So there's a change there in the tank. The weights are just about the same. This one's 240 kilograms, that's 241 kilograms. What does all that mean? Interestingly, once you set off on the bike, the weight disappears. This bike is so well balanced and set up, the geometry, when you ride it, it instantly feels like it should feel. It feels very predictable, and in the corners, it's very smooth through the corners. It doesn't drop into the corners. So that weight is possibly a benefit as well, but it's not excessively heavy. I'm quite short, and I didn't find that a problem at all. In fact, I was quite surprised how easy the bike pulled away and how quickly that feeling of weight disappeared. So another plus point for the bike. As a final note, having worked with both of the bikes now, I have to say that the fit and finish of these bikes, the quality of the finish is, I think it's exceptional. You know, when you think of where we've come from in terms of the early Enfields, these bikes are exceptional. And the other point that leaps out is the durability of the materials that have been used. Again, I mentioned it earlier, the use of the metal on the mud guards and the side panels. It's really robust, and you just get a feeling that it's well screwed together. So that's our first impressions. We've just received the bike. As I said, we were quite excited about it. We thought we'd share with you our first impressions. I hope that helps you as well, because as we all know, it's all about choices. And boy, have you got some choices now. So just leaves me to say thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.